Welcome back to the Vibe Shift Podcast. I'm grateful you're here. This week we've been exploring a very human question. Why does my mind keep running? And today we go even deeper. Because underneath the racing thoughts, underneath the fear, underneath the overthinking, there's often something else happening. Protection. The mind is usually trying to protect us from something. The challenge is that many of these protective systems were built long ago. Through stress, pain, uncertainty, rejection, loss, fear, or survival experiences. And over time, the nervous system can begin treating uncertainty itself as danger. That is what we're exploring today. Not from judgment, not from shame, but from understanding. The mind is not random. One of the most important realizations we can have is this: your mind is not attacking you randomly. Most mental patterns have a purpose, even exhausting ones, even painful ones, even fear loops. The mind often believes it is helping. Think about that for a moment. What if your overthinking isn't malfunction but protection? What if your anxiety is not proof that you're broken, but proof that your system learned to stay alert? For many people, the mind learned, if I scan enough, maybe I'll prevent pain. If I think through every possibility, maybe I can stay safe. If I stay mentally prepared, maybe I won't be blindsided again. This creates a nervous system that rarely rests. Not because it wants suffering, but because it learned vigilance. Emotional scanning. Many people live in a constant state of emotional scanning without realizing it. Scanning conversations, scanning reactions, scanning tone shifts, scanning uncertainty, scanning the future, scanning for signs that something might go wrong. The body becomes tense, the mind speeds up, and eventually this constant scanning becomes normalized. You can even begin believing that it's just who you are, but often it is conditioning, a survival adaptation, a nervous system that learned stay alert. Because somewhere along the way, being caught off guard felt unsafe. Fear loops. Fear loops are powerful because they feed themselves. The mind predicts danger, the body reacts emotionally. The emotional reaction then convinces the mind that danger must be real, so the mind scans harder, and the cycle repeats. This is why fear can feel so convincing, because the body participates in the story. The nervous system reinforces the narrative, and eventually the loop can become automatic. This is why logic alone often doesn't stop anxiety, because anxiety is not always operating through logic. It is often operating through protection patterns, and those patterns can become deeply wired into the nervous system over time. The relationship between fear and control. One of the hidden dynamics beneath fear is control. The mind often believes if I can control enough, I can finally relax. But the challenge is that life itself is uncertain, and uncertainty can feel unbearable to a nervous system trained around prediction and protection. So what happens? We try to mentally solve the future. We rehearse conversations. We prepare for scenarios that may never happen. We attempt to emotionally brace ourselves in advance. But here's the difficult truth. Control often becomes exhausting because reality keeps changing. Life keeps moving, and eventually the nervous system becomes tired from trying to manage what cannot fully be managed. The exhaustion of constant internal protection. Many people today are not just physically tired, they're internally exhausted. Exhausted from monitoring themselves, exhausted from mentally preparing, exhausted from carrying invisible emotional tension all day long. And because this process often happens automatically, people don't even realize how much energy it consumes. But once you begin seeing it, everything starts making more sense. The racing thoughts, the overwhelm, the emotional fatigue, the inability to rest deeply. Your system may not be failing, it may simply be overprotecting. A different relationship with the mind. One of the most healing shifts we can begin making is this. Instead of fighting the mind, we begin listening differently. Not obeying every fear, not believing every thought, but understanding the intention underneath the pattern. Sometimes the mind is simply saying, I don't want us to get hurt again. And when we begin relating to ourselves with understanding instead of war, something softens. Not instantly, not perfectly, but gradually. Because healing often begins the moment judgment decreases. A small practice for today. Today, try noticing this question when fear arises. What is my mind trying to protect me from right now? Not how do I stop this immediately? Not what's wrong with me? Just gentle observation. Curiosity instead of combat. You may begin discovering that underneath many mental loops, there is simply a nervous system trying to create safety. And awareness changes relationships. Closing reflection. Your mind is not your enemy. Your nervous system is not broken. Many of these patterns were built through adaptation. The beautiful thing is that what was learned can also be relearned. Safety can be relearned. Presence can be relearned. Trust can be relearned. And perhaps the goal is not to become fearless, but becoming less controlled by fear, little by little, moment by moment, breath by breath. Before we close today, we're going to continue this conversation in a much deeper way over at the Vibrational Stage podcast. There we'll explore why uncertainty can feel emotionally threatening even when nothing is immediately wrong, how survival conditioning quietly shapes daily behavior, the hidden relationship between fear and identity, why the nervous system becomes addicted to scanning and prediction, and how we can slowly begin rebuilding internal trust again. We'll also talk about something many people never realize. Sometimes the mind would rather feel familiar pain than unfamiliar freedom. And understanding that changes everything. If today's episode helped you to feel seen, the Vibrational Stage podcast will help you understand the deeper mechanics underneath what you've been experiencing. Thank you for being here with me today. Please follow the link to the Vibrational Stage podcast. I'll meet you there.